Hello guys, I hope you're all doing very well, and in today's video we are going to be creating a phone style thumbnail. Now all this means is we're going to have a subject holding up a phone towards the screen, and you should be, as the viewer, able to see the contents on that mobile phone. Now we're going to magnify certain parts to just make sure that the viewer sees that, but ultimately the objective of this video is that by the end of it you'll know how to create thumbnails just like this, where a person is holding a phone towards the screen. And you'll see this a lot in the finance niche more than anything else. So without wasting any more of your time, let's get straight into the video. So let's start off by creating a new file, and I'm going to keep the dimensions to 1920 by 1080, resolution to 72, 16-bit, and I also use a 50% grey background just to make sure I can see any imperfections when I'm cutting out and masking out my subjects. So again, if you want to have this grey background, it's optional. Just keep the B tab right here to 50%, and that will give you the color grey as your background. Click OK and let's click create. Okay, so let's first focus on the subject. So right here is the image of the subject I want to use, and the reason for picking this specific image is I like the facial expression he's giving off, and it's really going to tie in well with the theme we're going for today, which is a sort of crypto theme by Bitcoin style thumbnail. So we want to send a message through this thumbnail that people should buy or invest in Bitcoin, and so this facial expression helps to give off that excited or shocked expression, which is what we need for this thumbnail today. Okay, so what I'm going to do is drag this into our canvas like so, click yes, and let's just scale this down. So Command or Control T, scale it down, of course till it fits within your canvas, and then it's just a matter of masking your subject. Now if you have a later version of Photoshop, you can just simply use select subject to do the job, and I'll just show you that very quickly. So just click on any of the selection tools and then click on select subject, and that should pretty much do the job for you. So now if I click on mask, you can pretty much see that it's done a really good job with the masking, of course with some white fringes, which we can simply fix by double clicking within the layer mask and then going to decontaminate colors and clicking OK. And so as you can see, this is before and this is after. So this is a pretty good job, but if you have an older version of Photoshop, you may need to use the pen tool for this step. So I'm going to go to Window and open up Contextual Taskbar, and then let's select the lasso tool and make sure you have your subject layer selected, and we're going to make a selection of just the t-shirt region, as you can see, like so. Okay, perfect. Now once we have this selection, let's now click on generative fill and simply type in t-shirt. Now I'm not too bothered about the color, but the objective here is really just to change the t-shirt itself. Okay, so let that load up, it's going to do its thing, and let's see what result it can generate for us. Yep, so not a bad result. As you can see, there's a bit more detail on these t-shirts as opposed to this one, which is quite flat. So what I'm going to do is just keep generating different versions until I'm happy with the final result, and I'll be right back in just a moment. Okay, so I've just gone ahead and adjusted the t-shirts, and as you can see, this one has a lot more detail and texture in it than the previous. So this is what I'm going to be using. Now if you want to use this specific image, I'll provide that in the link in the description for you guys. Okay, but let's now move on to the next step, which is going to be enhancing this subject via camera raw filter. So let's right click on the subject, convert to smart object, and then click on filter and camera raw filter. So in exposure, let's boost that to 0.1. Yep, so just a bit more brightness. Let's also open up some of the shadows, so let's just take this up ever so slightly. Let's say 2+10. So this is before and this is after. Just a slight opening up of the details. So as you can see, we just get a bit more details in the hair, and we can open up the shadows a bit here, but I think we can do this separately. So we'll come back to that in just a moment. Okay, so let's go into texture, boost the texture to +20. Yep, and let's boost the clarity, but not too much. Maybe 2+3. Okay, perfect. And let's now go into detail, and let's just boost the sharpening to around 14 or 15. Yep, and we can just increase the noise reduction to about 3. Okay, perfect. Okay, so that's our base level enhancement of the subject, and we're going to do a few more adjustments, but we'll do that in just a moment. The next step I want to focus on is just brightening the right hand side of the subject's face, as you can see there's a lot more shadows residing in this region right here. So what we can do is go ahead and create a curves adjustment layer, clip that to the subject, just boost the midtones as you can see, and invert this layer mask. So Command or Control I to invert. Let's press B for the brush tool, and I'm going to decrease the size of the brush, and with the white color selected and having your flow set to about 10%, let's just brighten this region right here, the right side of the face. Just to make things look more even on both sides. So this is before and this is after. So the lighting now is even compared to before, as you can see. Okay, so let's just rename this to right side shadows, just so we know what that layer is for. And now let's do some quick dodging and burning on our subject, just to enhance the subject even more. So what I'll do is go ahead and create another 2 curves layers. So just press Command or Control J to duplicate to create 2 more, and clip those both to the subject. Let's rename this one to highlights and this one to shadows. And I'm sure you guys know what I'm about to do, but let's go ahead and start dodging and burning. So for highlights, first of all, just increase the highlights in the curves layer, and just do the same for the shadows. Increase the shadows like so. Invert both of these masks, so Command or Control I in both of the layer masks, and let's start off with highlights. So press B for the brush tool, and all we're going to do here is slightly go over the areas where there are highlights and enhance them a little bit, but not too much. Okay, so just a bit right here on the face. The eyes as well, we can go over a couple times. Yep, like so. The spotlights, which exist in some areas, as you can see. On the ear. And also, we can enhance these little contour lines. So, as you can see on the nose right here. On the lips. Yep, as you can see on the ears as well. So all these areas, they serve as opportunities for you to enhance the contrast, and although they are small, collectively once you adjust everything, they do help to boost the contrast and look of the subject. So really just pay attention to the little details, as you can see right here, and just enhance them, because it all does contribute to the final result. But these are very easily missed, so don't miss out on these opportunities. Okay, so let's look at before and after. So this is before and this is after. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. Maybe we can do a tiny bit on the neck as well. So let's go ahead, but not too much. Yeah, that should be just fine. Okay, looking good. Maybe we can just brighten this eye bag region a tiny bit more. Yep, looking much better. Okay, perfect. Let's now move on to the shadows. Now for the shadows, same principle applies. We are going to just go over, and we're actually going to take the flow down to about 2%. As I find with adding shadows, you have to be a lot more subtle and you can easily overdo it. Okay, so let's start off with the eyebrows. Yep. Let's tackle the nose bridge. The ears as well. This region right here, the root of the hair. The beard as well, I think we can target that. And all we're really doing here, guys, is just boosting the contrast of the subject. On the neck. And now we can do what we did before. Let's focus on the small contour areas and just enhance those. So within the ear, let's tackle the eyelashes. Yep, looking good. Yep, let's just have a quick zoom out, see if we've missed anything. Yep, this looks pretty good to me. I'm not going to enhance these forehead lines as I don't want to enhance things which have a lot of shadows already. As you can see, there's a decent amount of contrast on these forehead lines, so I don't want to overdo those. Okay, looking good. So this is before our dodging and burning, and this is after. Looking really nice. Okay, now let's just quickly go ahead and select all of our layers and just press Command or Control J to create a duplicate of all of our layers thus far. And let's go ahead and just press Command or Control G to group those, and then we can rename this to backups. Right, perfect. And let's just place this at the very bottom and turn off the visibility. Now we can go ahead and merge all these layers into one. So select everything and press Command or Control E to merge them all into one layer. And now we can focus on adjusting the scale and rotation of this subject. So right click, convert to smart object. Let's press Command or Control T, and I'm just going to increase the size of this image quite a bit. Right, like so, and let's add a bit of a rotation to the subject. Okay, now we need to actually add in the image of the hand holding the phone and place that within our canvas. Now, as you can see, the main thing I just want to quickly run through is you can see that the skin tone of this hand matches pretty much with this subject. And this is really going to be the most challenging part of creating this thumbnail style, is actually finding assets which match with the subject. And when I say match, what I'm really referring to is the skin color. And in this case, we're lucky, so we can use this image right here. But if not, you will have to do a bit more digging to find the correct asset with the correct skin tone for the subject skin color. Okay, so that's just something to keep in mind. Now, for example, in the event that you cannot find a specific pose for the life of it, you've searched everywhere and you just cannot find the specific pose with the specific skin tone that you want, I would suggest, guys, that if you're working with a client, that you ask the client themselves to take an image in this particular pose. Of course, it's a little bit more work for them, but you can actually tell your clients to create these images simply by just holding out their phone and taking an image, and that will save you a lot of time. Now, that's something I would recommend if you just simply cannot find an image online. Of course, try and do your best to find images, but if not, you may need to resort to this solution. But let's move on with the tutorial. What we are going to do is, of course, just remove the background. So let's go ahead and just remove this, select subject, and this is going to select just this region right here. Okay, perfect. Create a mask, and I'm also going to decontaminate the colors as well. So click within the layer mask and make sure decontaminate colors is selected. Let's zoom in, and I think I'm also going to shift the edge in a slight bit as well. Let's say to -40. Okay, this is looking good. Let's just remove the previous. Okay, yeah, so this is looking pretty good. And now we can just right click and convert this into a smart object. And let's just create a duplicate and drag this into our backups if we need it for the future. Okay, so now with this image, let's go ahead and scale this up and try and place it correctly on screen. Now the size of this hand should be relative to the size of the subject, so you really need to gauge it based on the scale of the subject. So of course, this is too small. Why? Because look at the size of the subject. So we need to look at the subject in order to really gauge the size of this. Okay, so based upon looking at the subject, I think something like this is not too bad. And the best way to really see if this is looking correct is just to zoom out and get a bird's eye view. This is really going to help you in making sure you don't overdo it. Yeah, this is looking good. Maybe we can just scale it down a slight bit more. Yeah, to something like this. This is looking realistic. And one last thing, guys, I promise, is just make sure that the pose looks somewhat realistic, because I've seen people on YouTube through the thumbnails, I've just seen people place their hands in the most funniest places you can think of. Some will place it right here. And so, guys, if I were to ask you, does that look realistic? I'm pretty sure we could collectively agree that looks quite funny. Some people will even do something like this, and I've even seen some people position their hands like this, which is just, it's funny, guys. So just make sure that the pose looks realistic, and the realism is really just dictated by where you place the hand relative to where the subject is. So just try and keep in mind some basic human anatomy when you're doing this step. Okay, so we have the subject and we have the phone. So I want to make sure as well not to merge these two layers together, and I'll just explain why in a moment. But what we will do now is quickly do a dodge and burn effect for the hand very quickly. Okay, so let's go ahead and create two curves adjustment layers and clip those to the subject. Highlights and shadows. I'm trying to do this very quickly. And now increase the highlights and increase the shadows. Okay, invert both of the layer masks. And let's quickly begin with this. Okay, so make sure the flow is set to 10% and just enhance the areas which are brighter, and for the shadows do the exact same. So just slightly enhancing just to make sure that we have both the subject and the skin right here, the hand, both with a boost in contrast. Okay, cool. Let's go into shadows and do the exact same thing. Just boosting the contrast, as you can see. Okay, so this is before and this is after, looking really nice. Okay, perfect. And now to actually focus on adding in the contents onto this phone screen. Now what we are going to do first of all is we are going to press Command or Control T on this phone layer, and we just want to make sure that it's aligned straight, right? So make sure that vertically it's in a straight line. Okay, now the reason for this is because we are going to use the magic wand tool, and we're going to click within the screen and we're going to press Command or Control J to create a duplicate, and this will serve as our phone screen. So we're going to rename this layer to phone screen, and we're going to convert this layer into a smart object. So right click and convert to smart object. Now all of the adjustments and the contents we're going to add to this screen, we are going to do it within this smart object layer. So just double click it twice, and as you can see, that opens up this image into its own separate tab. And from here we simply need to fill in the contents within this region. As you can see within this selection, this is where we need to add in the contents of the phone screen. And the reason why we're doing it here as opposed to in our original canvas is because, for example, if I just go ahead and decide to add in some text right here, all I need to do is hit save, and that will apply the changes to the phone screen right here. Now if, for example, and I'll just show you a good example just so you understand, let's say I remove that change for a second. So let's save this, and we have this phone screen. Now it was initially, this phone was at an angle. It was like this. So if I was to go ahead and decide to add some contents to this phone screen at this angle, I would need to go ahead and type something in, and then I'd have to rotate the text to try and align it with this phone. And practically speaking, this is just going to be a pain in general to do, especially if you have multiple elements that you want to add in. You're going to have to adjust everything manually. It's just going to be a pain for you. Whereas now we have this smart object. If I go ahead and decide to add some text in, hit save, regardless of whether or not this layer is at an angle, it's going to match that angle for us. So I hope that makes sense, guys. It just makes things easier for us working within this smart object as opposed to adding it all on the screen right here. Okay, let's now resume with our tutorial. Let's go back and remove this text. Okay, now moving on to the content. So I'm going to add in a graph right here at the bottom, symbolizing growth. And we are also going to add in some cryptocurrencies in the mid regions, and we'll have the values associated with those cryptocurrencies placed on the opposite side. So basically we just want to make this screen look like it's displaying a crypto wallet. That's the objective we're trying to do here. So let's start off with the graph first of all. Okay, so here is a screenshot of a graph which is symbolizing growth by the green color and also by it going in an upwards trajectory. Now if you're wondering where I got this image, I got this on Google simply by typing in Bitcoin price, and then you see these graphs here. I simply went ahead and just took a screenshot like so. That's all I did to get this image. So you can go ahead and do the same if you want to do the opposite and actually have it go down. Just change the color to red and do the exact same thing. Okay, so let's drag this into our phone screen. Click yes, and let's just scale this down. Yep, I think we can remove this bottom region right here. I'm just pressing backspace to remove any parts I've selected, and then I also think we can just press transform and adjust the shape like so. Not too bad. Okay, this is looking decent. Maybe we can scale this down a slight touch and just adjust until you're happy. Yep, to something like this. Okay, looking good. Now what I'll do probably is just sharpen this. So let's go to filter and sharpen, just to make sure it's a little more sharp. And let's just hit save and see how this looks on our original document. Yep, so not too bad at all. Now you can see some of this white border is branching out. So what we need to do is go back into our layer and just remove some of this. We can simply just press E for the eraser and just remove some parts we don't want. I'm going to make sure I have a hard brush for this yet, and just remove some of the bottom regions. Okay, this is looking good. Let's hit save and see if that fixed it. Yep, so as you can see, that fixes our issue. Now if you zoom out, this looks pretty good. And so I'm now ready to move on to the next step, which is to add in the cryptocurrencies. Okay guys, so I've just gone ahead and added in some cryptocurrencies. So as you can see, Bitcoin, Ethereum and Tether. These are the main ones, the most popular ones. And so all I did was simply just add in the logos. You can find those easily on Google. And then I just added in the headers for each crypto. So Bitcoin, of course, Ethereum and Tether, and then I just added in the little abbreviated versions of each of those coins. And I also used a different font for that and a slightly lighter color, as you can see. Now this is all stuff that I believe you guys can do pretty quickly, so I don't want to waste too much time on this basic step, but the principle is what I really want you to understand, and that's how to create this style of thumbnail. So as you can see, I've just added in the content, and on this side right here we have the value of each coin alongside how much they've grown in a span of time. Now let's just quickly hit save, and if I just open up this group, the font I was using, just so that you guys can follow along, the font I was using was Helvetica Bold. So just go ahead and use that font if you want to copy what I have right here. So I've used that for the headers, and for this smaller text I believe I just used a lighter weight, so I used Helvetica Regular for the subtext. Okay, perfect. Cool. I think we can also add in a little divider line. So let me just close this group. Let's go ahead and go to the shapes, click on line tool right here, and I'm simply going to just create a divider line. So hold down shift to keep it straight, and let's change the color of this to black, and then let's just decrease the opacity of this to something like 10%. Yep, perfect, cool. This is looking good, just to act as a small divider. Okay, cool. Looking really nice. Now let's hit save, Command or Control S, and let's go back into our canvas. Now, as you can see, that's all been applied to our phone screen at the angle of the layer itself. And so this is why working in a smart object is the best way to approach this. Okay, cool. I think we can add in one more divider. I'm going to just duplicate this layer up here. So hold down Alt or Option and duplicate. Oops, I made a mistake. Hold down Alt, drag, like so. Cool. Yeah, so we want to keep a little bit of space at the top right here, free, because we're going to now add in this magnifying effect, which basically just showcases the account balance of this subject's crypto wallet. Okay, so for this part, we're going to go back into our original canvas and we are going to work within here now. So the first thing we are going to do is create an oval shape. So to do this, let's go ahead and select the ellipse tool, and we're going to just simply create an oval shape. Let's use our eyes for this part. Just eye it, and we are going to just create something like this. Okay, cool. We can adjust the shape of this afterwards. Let's just get the general shape going. Cool. So from here, now what I'll do is I'm going to change the fill to white, since I want this shape to be white, and then we're going to add a stroke to this. So let's add a stroke, and I'm going to select this color right here, the one I've selected, and I'll provide you guys with the hex code. Okay, perfect. Now let's just increase the stroke size. So I think we can take this up a slight bit more. Let's take this to, let's say, 3.79 pixels. 3 to 4 pixels will do just fine. That's looking good. And now we need to add in the contents. So I'll go ahead and just type those in, and I'll be right back in just a moment. Okay guys, so as you can see, I've added in my text. So account balance, the actual figure of the account balance, and the little percentage increase, the same as what we have over here, so plus 2,000 somewhat dollars. So when you're adding in your text right here, what I would suggest that you do is you gather all your layers and you just rotate the hand like before, just to get it in a straight line, and that way you can actually see if everything is aligned correctly. This just helps you to visualize things better. Okay, so as you can see, this oval could be adjusted slightly. Yep, ever so slightly, but just a slight bit. Yep, to maybe something like this. So there's always adjustments that can be made, and you should spend as much time as you can on this step to get it right. And I also boosted the stroke to about 6 pixels. As you can see, it's slightly thicker now, and we can adjust the color of it afterwards once we add in the background if the colors don't mesh well. So we can come back to the color adjustments at the end. Okay, so now that's the phone done, and we can now move on to the next step, which is the background. So here is the background image we're going to be utilizing today, and we'll do a bit of stylizing, but ultimately we're going to be using this background. Now I found this on freepik.com, and I'll link it in the description down below. So let's just drag this image into our document, and of course we want this to be placed behind everything else, so right at the back. Then let's just right click, convert to smart object, and I'm going to scale down this image as it's quite large as is. So let's just scale this down. Now let's rotate this, and I want to just sort of align this behind the subject. Maybe we can flip this as well. So let's right click and flip vertical. Cool. So I like all these little green lines, and so we're going to place this in such a way that that Bitcoin logo isn't visible. but all of these lines are, as you can see. And when you're creating these style of backgrounds, sometimes you just have to experiment with different backgrounds, different patterns, and just placing them in different locations. And eventually you'll find something which looks attractive to you and actually fits the vibe of the thumbnail as well. Okay, so just keep stylizing until you get something which looks good. So that Bitcoin logo, I'm just trying to make sure that's not visible. Yeah, to maybe something like this. Yeah, this is good. And then what I'll do is I'll duplicate this layer once more. So just press Alt or Option and drag. And let's also flip this vertically. And I want this Bitcoin logo to be present in this bottom left corner. Yeah, to something like this. This just serves as visual context that this thumbnail is about cryptocurrency. Okay, looking good. So let's just rename both of these layers to background. You can do background again, like so. Now I think that with this layer right here, as you can see, the image is quite large and a large portion of this image is actually just black. Right, so it actually doesn't benefit us in this region right here, which is just simply pitch black. So what we can do is we can create a layer mask on this layer. And now let's press B for the brush tool, have the black color selected, and let's set the flow to 100% and make sure to use a soft brush as well. And I'm just going to paint out this black region, as you can see. So just paint back in this image by just removing from this one. So yeah, as you can see, we've brought back more of the pattern in the background, and this black area right here, we are going to keep that because we're going to be adding in our text in this region. So it will help with adding in some contrast. Now with this image in particular, let's go back to it. Let's remove this top region as well, since we will have our text in this little section. So let's just remove subtly, feather out the top region of this background. Using a layer mask, of course. So if you're using the black color, you will be erasing. And if you use the alternate color white, you can paint back in parts which you've painted out. Now this background as is, it's pretty good, but I think we can stylize it even further just to add some visual context to help communicate the message, which is to invest in Bitcoin, invest in crypto in general. So what we can do is, you see these little green lines right here, we can actually adjust these to create arrows out of them. So we can basically stylize this background to help aid in the message. So to do this, what I'm going to do is just create a layer at the very top. Let's use the pen tool, so press P for the pen tool and make sure you have it set to path. Now what we'll do is we're going to zoom in, create a triangle like so. And then once you've created the full path, just press Command or Control Enter to create a selection. Then we'll go to the adjustment layers and create a solid color adjustment layer. And I'm going to pick the exact same color of the stem, right? So use the color picker tool for this, click OK. And then let's create a duplicate. So hold down Alt or Option and drag to create a duplicate. Press Command or Control T to transform, right click, and we are going to flip it horizontal. Then just make sure to combine these together, as you can see. Yep, perfect, cool. So once you've combined them both together, let's go ahead and just merge these two layers together. And then from here, you can just adjust the shape of the triangle to fit what suits you. Okay, so I think this is better, looking good. This arrow right here looks nice. Yep, maybe we can just align it perfectly. 1 pixel. Okay, let's just try and make sure that this is aligned in a good way. Yep, like so. And now I'm just going to simply take this stem. So hold down Alt or Option and drag, and we can place these on the other ones, like so. So all you would need to do to change the color of this is just double click and go to color overlay, and then let's use the color picker tool. So just select the color of the stem. Cool. And we're going to repeat this a couple times. So let's just do it on this stem right here, and that should be fine. Okay, so take this, hold Alt or Option and click and drag. take it over here. Once you've placed it correctly, then it's just a matter of using the color picker tool. So just double click on color overlay, and then just select the color of the stem. Cool, looking nice. Yep, now let's go ahead and do the same on these two stems right here next to the subject's head. So zoom out a bit, hold Alt or Option, drag and take those arrows. Zoom in, and just repeat the exact same process. Double click on color overlay, and just use the color picker tool to get the correct color. And let's just do this one more time. So Alt or Option, color overlay, and just pick the color of the stem. Perfect. Looking really nice. And so now, as you can see, we are communicating a message ever so slightly that the value of crypto is increasing. And now we can move on to the next step, which is going to be to add in the text. So I've just gone ahead and added in my text, and some of these steps I intentionally skip out on just because it's quite basic, because I know you guys can emulate this step very simply. Now the font I am using is Proxima Nova, black italic, and the gradient I'm using is a simple light grey to white gradient, and I'll provide you with the hex codes for that. We also have a stroke set to size 4 in pixels and position set to outside, and here is the hex code for that grey. And the final thing we have is an outer glow in the same greenish color that we have for the background, so I'll provide you with the hex code for that as well. Now, since we didn't have too much space on our canvas with all the other elements, you really want to keep the text quite short and simple, which is why I've only selected 2 words, but those 2 words pack a punch. Of course, since the message of this thumbnail itself is to buy crypto, we have all these supporting elements like the account balance, the crypto on the phone screen, the Bitcoin logo, and of course we have these arrows as well showing an increase in value. The only real thing you need is a simple call to action, which is to buy now. Now, of course, this is going to make people click because they're going to want to know why to buy crypto. So just having that text leads the viewer onto making that click. Now I think we can stylize the text even further, and what we can do is let's first of all just right click on the text layer and let's just rasterize the layer style completely. Right, now let's create a new layer, clip it to this text, and let's rename this to glow. Now let's press B for the brush tool, and with a soft brush and setting the color to a color in the background. So just select any color from the background, preferably slightly more on the brighter side. Yep, this green will do. And we are just simply going to paint along the bottom of this text. So make sure your flow is set to 10% and just paint along the bottom like so. Okay, now let's zoom out, and you can just decrease the opacity to make the effect slightly more subtle, but that looks good to me. Yeah, that looks really nice. Maybe we can just bring it down a bit more. Yeah, let's keep it to 70%. That looks good. Now as well, you can also just adjust and bring it up slightly by using the arrow keys. So as you can see, now more of the text is green. So you can just adjust the position of this glow as well. So as you can see, going further down or going further up, just simply by using the arrow keys. Yeah, this looks awesome. Cool. Perfect. So as you can see, things are starting to come together. Now just to circle back to this ellipse, I think we can add an outer glow to this as well. So let's go to our ellipse layer, let's double click and let's add an outer glow, and let's try and just adjust these settings. So zoom out to get a better view. Maybe we can increase the opacity slightly and play around with the size. Yep, to something like this. So 26 opacity and the size set to 54 pixels and click OK. This ellipse, we can probably adjust the color of the stroke. So let's just make sure that the ellipse is selected and then simply click on any of the shapes and it gives you the option to adjust the stroke from here. So just simply click on stroke and let's try and adjust the color. Now I think maybe we have to go for more of a darker green just so that the border is more prominent. So let's try something more on the darker side. Yeah, perfect. This is exactly what I wanted. Now I'm pretty happy with the left hand side of this thumbnail, all of these elements right here, but I think we need to come back to the subject and just add in some rim lights just to integrate the subject better into the background. So let's go ahead and do that. So what I'll do is go to our subject layer and let's go ahead and create a solid color adjustment layer. Let's just select this color for now and then change the blending mode to screen and clip it to the subject layer like so. Cool. Once you've done that, go into the layer mask and let's just press Command or Control I to invert this layer mask, and then we'll press B for the brush tool, set the flow to 75% and let's just add in some light effects. Okay. Making sure to have a soft brush as well. Now when it comes to painting in rim lights, you just want to be very subtle with it. You don't want to overdo it. And this is a common mistake that a lot of designers make, is they overdo the lighting effects and then it just looks like a bunch of vibrant mess. So be controlled with your lighting, don't overdo it. We're just doing it more so just to integrate the subject slightly better into the background, but we don't need to make things look crazy. So just a bit on each side of his jaw. Maybe we could do some right here. But be subtle and stay close to the edge. Yeah, this is good. And maybe we can do some on the neck right here. And maybe some on the t-shirt. This is an optional step, you don't really need to do it. Okay, this is looking good. Maybe we can do some right here. And maybe some right here. Again, like I said, this is optional. You don't have to do this, okay? And just take a look and see if it looks good. If it doesn't look good, you can remove it. I don't like this one, so I'm going to remove this from here. I like how this looks much more subtle. Yep, it looks subtle and not overdone. This is perfect. Now my gut instinct is telling me that we could probably get away with an outer glow on this subject. Let's have a go and see if that works out. Let's see, so create an outer glow. Yeah, this is actually a good idea. So let's keep this outer glow. Yep, the color is set to a decent color. Let's source a color from this Bitcoin logo, maybe slightly darker. Yep, and let's just adjust the settings. So just boost the opacity slightly, maybe boost the size. Yeah, this is looking good. So here are the settings I've just used, and here is the hex code for the color of green I used for the outer glow. Let's also add the outer glow to this hand, since of course we've done it on the subject and this is a part of the subject. So just add the outer glow to the hand as well. And finally, we can now move on to camera raw filter. It took us a while, but we got there in the end. And now it's really about just boosting this thumbnail and taking it to the next level. Okay, so let's select the top layer. Let's press Command, Option, Shift and E to merge all the layers in the layer section into one layer. Let's right click, convert to Smart Object, and then let's go to Filter and Camera Raw Filter. Okay, so let's start off in the light section. We can boost the exposure to 0.10. Let's also boost the contrast as well. Yep, let's take this to +10. This is before, this is after. Yeah, that looks good. And maybe we can just slightly increase the highlights, but not too much. Maybe +2 for highlights. Okay, let's go to blacks, and we can increase the blacks as well slightly. Maybe -5 for blacks. Okay, cool. Let's move into color. Let's adjust the temperature and see if that does any good. Let's keep it as is. I don't really like how that looks. Let's go into vibrance. Let's boost the vibrance to +20. So this is before and after. And let's also increase the saturation as well to +2. Okay, and as you can see, the subject is starting to get into the realm of oversaturation, but right now it's at a good point. But any more saturation than this, and the subject will be oversaturated. So +2, maybe even +1 for saturation is fine. But let's increase the texture. Let's take this up to +20, and the clarity as well. Let's take this to +5. Okay, so this is before and after. Yep, that's looking good. Let's also now just see if we can add a bit of a vignette in without ruining the thumbnail in the process. So let's just adjust this, taking it down to about -10 for a moment. Let's open up the arrow right here just to get more options of our vignette, and I'm going to decrease the feather all the way down to 0. And then we can actually see the vignette itself, the shape, as you can see right here, and we can adjust the shape of this vignette by adjusting the roundness. Yep, so it doesn't affect everything. Okay, maybe this is good, and then we can reintroduce the feather and just decrease the vignette strength. Yeah, this is looking good. Yeah, this is looking really nice. Cool. Foregrain, let's take it to 12. Okay, let's go into color mixer. Let's adjust the yellows. Maybe we can get a bit more of a reddish tone to his skin tone by adjusting these colors. Yeah, this is looking much better. Much more better. Okay, perfect. What's left? Let's go and add in some sharpening. So take the sharpening to +15. And I'm pretty happy with how this is looking. Maybe we can just increase the noise reduction slightly to +5. Nope, let's keep this to 0. I'm pretty happy with how this is looking, guys. And the last thing that we can adjust maybe is the green primary. Maybe let's see if we can get a better color than what we have already. So yeah, +10 is looking decent. And maybe we can increase the saturation slightly as well to +5. Yep, this is looking perfect, and click OK. And there you have it, guys, a phone style thumbnail. Now if you enjoyed this content and want more content even more advanced than what we have right here, my thumbnail course is live right now, Thumbnail Mastery, so go ahead and check that out if you're interested in elevating your thumbnail design skills and taking them to the next level. Thank you very much, guys, for watching this video, and I'll see you next time. Peace.